Welcome to Book Talks, where stories aren't just read, they're understood. Today, the book under discussion is The Castle by Franz Kafka. And for this deep dive, we are stepping into a world that is just freezing, profoundly disorienting, and, well, honestly, endlessly frustrating.
Yeah, that is probably the best way to describe it. It's a deeply frustrating environment.
Right. So picture this scenario for a second. It's late at night. You are a man known only as K, a land surveyor.
Mm-hmm.
You arrive in this unfamiliar village buried deep, just deep in the snow. You are completely exhausted from this long journey on foot.
Own tired.
Exactly. And you look up through the freezing air, seeking this great, imposing castle of the authorities who hired you, but there is absolutely nothing. Just, mist, heavy darkness, and this massive void.
It is a brilliant, unsettling way to open a narrative. It strips the protagonist and you, the reader, of any immediate grounding.
Yeah, it really throws you in the deep end.
It does. And our mission today is to explore Kay's futile, maddening, yet strangely relatable quest to gain access to this hidden castle and its shadowy authorities. We are going to unpack the absolute labyrinth of bureaucracy he encounters.
It's a literal maze.
Total maze. And through that, we'll try to figure out what Kafka is revealing to us about power, illusion, and human nature. Because this isn't just a story about a confusing town, It's an autopsy of how systems control us.
So true. And if you are listening to this right now thinking, well, a snowy village and a classic European novel doesn't really apply to my daily routine, let me ask you to recall a very specific feeling.
Ah, I know where you're going with this.
Right. Have you ever been stuck on hold with a faceless customer service department for like 3 hours? Just transferred from department to department?
Listening to that terrible hold music.
Yes. Or trapped in one of those endless, soul-crushing corporate email chains where no one actually knows who's in charge, but everyone is terrified of making a decision?
We've all been there.
Kafka took that exact suffocating feeling of being trapped in an irrational machine and just turned it into a masterpiece.
He really did. The anxiety of navigating a system that aggressively refuses to acknowledge your humanity is something that translates to any era. We see this psychological warfare begin the very moment Kay arrives.
Like immediately.
Yeah.
He doesn't even get to sleep.
No, not at all. He barely manages to fall asleep on a miserable straw mattress in the village inn, only to be rudely awakened by the son of a deputy warden.
Schwarzer, right?
Yeah, Schwarzer. And this young man informs Kay, in a highly condescending tone, that he needs a special permit from an official named Count West just to close his eyes in the village.
Just to sleep.
Just to sleep. Simply because the village belongs to the castle.
So the authority of the castle asserts itself before Kay can even get a single night of rest. But the real jarring disconnect, I think, happens the next morning.
Oh, the reveal.
Yes. Kay steps out into the clear winter air, fully expecting to see this grand, imposing fortress looming over the people, a symbol of undeniable concrete power. And what he actually sees is, it's highly disappointing.
Underwhelming is an understatement.
Right. It's not a medieval fortress. It's not even a fancy modern mansion. It's this crumbling, ramshackle collection of low-built cottages. It just looks like a rundown, depressing little town.
And the tower, don't forget the tower.
Oh yeah, the only tower he can see is this simple round building covered in ivy with these irregular, crazed battlements. And the narrator says they look, and this is such a striking detail, like they were drawn by an anxious or careless child. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
The physical reality of the castle is incredibly unimpressive. It looks pathetic, frankly. So I have to ask, if the castle looks like a crumbling, sad collection of shacks, why are the villagers treating it with this hushed, almost religious reverence? Like, where is the threat?
That paradox is the exact engine driving the entire narrative. The physical castle is unimpressive because, well, the actual structure doesn't matter.
Really?
Yeah. The psychological mechanism of authority is what Kafka is dissecting here. The castle's power might, in fact, be a complete illusion.
Like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain.
Exactly like that. It operates as a projection of the villagers' own deep-seated desires for an absolute spiritual or structural authority. Kafka is examining the disturbing reality of how people actively manufacture and enforce their own servitude.
Wow, so they're doing it to themselves.
Entirely. The villagers treat the castle like a divine entity. They literally fold their hands in prayer when they see a standard piece of mail from an official. They are terrified to even speak the names of these bureaucrats aloud.
So the power isn't in the stones of the building at all. It's entirely in the belief of the people looking at it.
Mm.
The castle doesn't need heavy artillery or walls because the fortifications are built inside the minds of the villagers.
Which is why Kay's approach is so doomed from the start. I mean, Kay is a land surveyor.
He's a rational guy.
Right. He is a man of science, measurement, and rational boundaries. He assumes he can navigate this world using logic and formal channels. He tries to fight an illusion by engaging with its physical bureaucracy.
And that leads him straight into an absolute nightmare of administrative chaos.
The worst kind.
I mean, the scenes detailing Kay's actual employment are comedy gold, but in the darkest, most panic-inducing way possible.
Oh.
Kay finally manages to get an audience with the village mayor to discuss his surveying work.
Finally, some answers, right?
You'd think. He walks in expecting a professional briefing. Instead, the mayor is sick in bed with gout and calmly proceeds to unravel Kay's entire sense of reality by telling him, "Oh, we don't need a land surveyor. We never needed one. Your appointment was a mistake made years ago."
It's so crushing, and the way the mayor explains how this mistake occurred is just a masterclass in bureaucratic absurdity.
Oh, the departments?
Yes, he describes a decree that was routed to Department A, but instead of replying to Department A, the village's response was mistakenly sent to Department B.
Of course it was.
So Department A was left waiting indefinitely for an answer, while Department B only received the empty cover of a file with no contents. The officials in the system are described as being so paralyzingly meticulous, so obsessed with procedure over outcome, that the entire system completely breaks down under the weight of its own rules.
It is the ultimate modern workplace nightmare. It's like when you get hired for a new role, but the HR software and middle management aren't syncing their data. You show up on day one, your paperwork is lost in the cloud, you have no laptop, and you are just left to sit in the break room while people argue over whose budget you belong to.
That is a perfect comparison.
And the physical comedy Kafka uses to underscore this is brilliant. To prove this mistake, the mayor's wife, Mizzy, literally dumps a massive, chaotic pile of overflowing files out of a cupboard directly onto the floor.
What's fascinating here is the complete paralysis of the system in the face of this information overload. While the mayor's wife is endlessly searching through this mountain of paper, Kay's two assigned assistants, Arter and Jeremiah,
Oh, those two. They act more like hyperactive toddlers than professional.
they really do. They're uselessly trying to read the files, just snatching documents from each other's hands. And the files themselves are utterly meaningless. The system is opaque, yes, but it's crucial to understand that it is not hiding some grand, secret Machiavellian truth.
It's not a conspiracy,
No, it is simply hiding its own staggering incompetence and structural chaos.
which makes it so much worse. And the communications Kay does manage to receive are just as baffling. Like, let's look at Barnabas, the messenger. When Kay first meets him, he assumes Barnabas is this high-status official courier.
Because of the uniform.
Right. The guy is wearing what looks to Kay like a gleaming, tight-fitting silk uniform. It just radiates authority.
But when Kay actually follows Barnabas back to his family home, the illusion shatters entirely. Barnabas unbuttons his jacket, and underneath he's just wearing a coarse, gray, heavily mended shirt over the chest of a common laborer.
So the silk was fake.
The silk uniform was nothing more than a trick of the light, heavily aided by Kay's own desperate expectation to see authority where none existed.
Man, that is bleak.
Yeah.
And the actual messages Barnabas delivers are practically useless, too. Kay receives a letter from a highly feared official named Clam. Kay holds this letter and thinks, "This is it, my golden ticket. I have written proof of my connection to the top."
But then he takes it to the mayor.
Exactly. When he shows it to the mayor casually dismisses it, explaining that it has no official standing whatsoever. It's just a private letter. The words on the page carry zero administrative weight.
The meaninglessness of the paperwork serves a very specific function, you know. It keeps everyone perpetually off balance. And this forces us to look at the darker, more devastating underbelly of Kafka's world.
How so?
Because while the missing files, the gout-ridden mayor, and the fake silk shirts might play out as dark administrative comedy, this bureaucratic void extracts a horrific, real-world human cost from the people living under it.
It's not just a joke to them.
No, not at all. The chaos isn't just frustrating, it actively destroys lives and warps human relationships.
Yeah, and we see this psychological damage most clearly through the women in the village, starting with Frida. She works as a barmaid at the Castle Inn, but her true status in the village comes from the fact that she is the mistress of that high official Clam.
Right. And Kay, realizing he is getting nowhere with the formal paperwork, sees an opportunity here. He calculates that getting closer to Frida means getting closer to Clam.
It's totally strategic.
It is. He seduces her almost immediately. And the scene where they consummate their relationship is striking. They are rolling around right there on the floor of the bar, literally hiding among the puddles of spilled beer.
Gross.
It's desperate, it's squalid, and it is fundamentally transactional. He isn't experiencing a grand romance with Frida. He's trying to leverage her as a stepping stone.
And Frida isn't the only person whose entire identity is defined by her proximity to a phantom official. There is the landlady of the Bridge Inn, Gardena. She had a brief affair with Clam 18 years ago.
18 years?
18 years. And she still reveres him as if he were a living god. She aggressively guards these absurd, pathetic mementos from that brief encounter: an old shawl, a nightcap, and a faded photograph.
Oh, the photograph is the best part.
Right. She claims the photo shows a messenger stretched out on a bed, but upon closer inspection, Kay sees it's actually just a random picture of a guy doing the high jump.
It's so delusional. Her entire life, her marriage, her business, her self-worth is completely overshadowed by 3 brief encounters with an official almost 2 decades prior.
It's really sad.
It is. She has willingly frozen her own emotional development in homage to a man who has undoubtedly forgotten she even exists. But the most chilling example of the castle's destructive impact on human lives is the story of Amalia.
Oh man, Amalia. When I read Amalia's story, it completely shifted how I view the entire village. Amalia is the sister of Barnabas, the messenger with the fake silk shirt.
Right, Barnabas' sister.
One day, she receives a crude, aggressively obscene summons from a castle official named Sortini. It's not a subtle request. It is a blatant, abusive demand for sexual favors. And Amalia does something entirely unheard of in this subservient village. She heroically, completely refuses. She stands her ground.
She doesn't just politely decline either. She tears the official's letter to shreds and throws the pieces right in the messenger's face. In a world defined by groveling and submission, it is a staggering moment of pure, dignified self-assertion against an abusive authority.
Right, so reading this, my immediate thought was about the retaliation. Amalia just publicly humiliated a high-ranking official of an authoritarian regime. I kept waiting for the hammer to fall. What did the castle do to her? Did the secret police show up? Did they drag her off in the middle of the night?
The castle did absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. They sent no guards. They issued no punishments. And that is the absolute most terrifying part of Kafka's entire vision. The castle didn't need to punish Amalia or her family because the villagers immediately stepped in and did it for them.
Wait, did the villagers ostracize the family? Just out of fear?
Complete and utter social annihilation. The community was so deeply terrified that Amalia's singular act of defiance would bring the vague, undefined wrath of the castle down upon the whole village, that they preemptively cut the family off from everything.
That is horrifying.
It really is. The family was financially ruined overnight. Her father, who had been a highly respected craftsman and the village fire chief, spent years after that just standing by the side of the road, desperately begging for forgiveness from any passing carriage.
Even though the officials inside never once looked at him.
Never even glanced at him.
The collateral damage to that family is just sickening. Amalia's other sister, Olga, is reduced to sacrificing her own dignity, sleeping with the bestial, cruel castle servants down in the stables, enduring horrific treatment just to gather tiny, irrelevant scraps of information to try and help her family standing.
It's a total tragedy.
The entire oppression of this town is self-policed. The castle literally just sat back, entirely indifferent, while the villagers aggressively tore their own neighbors apart to protect their own perceived safety.
Which happens in real life all the time.
Exactly. Think about how this plays out in modern dynamics. How often do we see corporate teams or online communities completely cannibalize one of their own just because that person pointed out a flaw in the system, and everyone else is terrified of losing their standing with the algorithm or the administration?
It is the ultimate triumph of a totalitarian system. The system's power is entirely generated and maintained by the subjects themselves. Amalia's resistance is heroic, but Kafka shows us that defying a broken system doesn't actually free you from it if your entire surrounding society is still hopelessly trapped within its logic.
Because Amalia is left emotionally frozen and utterly isolated.
Yes. And Kay learns all of this. He sees the profound destruction the system causes, yet his obsession only deepens. He pushes forward, demanding a final, direct confrontation with the administration.
This relentless push brings us to the exhausting climax of the book, The Night Hearings.
This part is so surreal.
It's like a fever dream. Kay manages to sneak into the corridors of the Castle Inn, where the officials sleep when they come down to the village. And he discovers this incredibly bizarre detail. The officials conduct their hearings and process their paperwork in the middle of the night. Why? Because they literally cannot stomach the sight of the public during the day.
The mere presence of the citizens they govern sickens them.
Sickens them.
It perfectly encapsulates the absolute disconnect between the rulers and the ruled. The officials construct an environment where they can process the lives of the villagers in artificial light while half asleep, minimizing any chance of actual empathetic human contact.
It's so isolating.
Very. And Kay is wandering these hallucinatory, endless hallways completely drained, and he accidentally stumbles into the bedroom of an official named Burgle.
And what happens in this room is incredible. Burgle is lying in bed, and he proceeds to casually give Kay the ultimate cheat code to the castle.
He just lays it all out.
He does. He explains the psychological loophole of the bureaucracy. If a petitioner surprises an official in the middle of the night when the official's defenses are completely down and they are exhausted, the official is practically helpless. They are psychologically compelled to grant the petitioner's request, no matter how absurd it is. It's the exact hidden backdoor Kay has been searching for this entire time.
It is the holy grail for anyone trapped in a bureaucratic maze. But Kafka delivers a crushing, tragic irony here.
Oh, it's so frustrating to read.
Right, as Burgle is monologuing, literally handing Kay the keys to the kingdom and explaining the exact mechanism to bypass the entire nightmare, Kay begins to drift off.
He's just too tired.
He has been so physically starved, frozen, and mentally pulverized by his endless, pointless struggles in the village that his body simply shuts down. He falls into a deep, inescapable sleep right there on the edge of Burgle's bed. He misses his one and only chance.
He is so out of it that he actually grabs Burgle's foot in his sleep. It's such an absurd, profoundly pathetic image.
It really is.
He fought and clawed his way to the center of the maze, and when the secret door finally swings open, he doesn't have the biological energy left to walk through it. It really speaks to the concept of systemic exhaustion.
Absolutely. The bureaucracy doesn't defeat you with logic. It defeats you by bleeding your energy dry over meaningless tasks until you just collapse.
And when Kay finally wakes up, the magic window has closed. He's kicked out into the hallway, where he witnesses a servant distributing morning files to the officials' rooms. One of the officials throws a tantrum about a specific document, and the servant, just to quiet the noise, casually tears the file into pieces.
That casual destruction is the final, brutal punctuation mark on Kay's efforts. That torn file could have contained Kay's entire case, or the fate of a villager's life.
Gone in a second.
Destroyed in seconds simply to resolve a minor hallway annoyance. It forces Kay and you, as the reader, to realize the utter insignificance of the individual against the massive, unfeeling machinery of the institution.
Just a cog in the machine.
Less than a cog. But Kafka doesn't just let Kay walk away with that realization. He strips away one final layer of Kay's reality, shifting from the systemic to the deeply personal.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Kay has a conversation with Peppy, a young, deeply cynical chambermaid who temporarily took over Frida's job as the barmaid when Frida originally ran off with Kay.
She gives him a massive reality check.
Oh, totally. Peppy sits Kay down and gives him a completely different, totally devastating perspective on his great romance. She casually claims that Frida never actually loved Kay at all.
Peppy deconstructs Kay's entire personal narrative. She argues that Frida's relationship with Kay was nothing more than a highly calculated career move.
A career move.
According to Peppy, Frida realized her influence as Clam's mistress was starting to wane. So she used Kay, this chaotic, disruptive outsider, to create a massive scandal.
To make Dumb jealous.
The strategy was to make Clam and the landlord incredibly jealous, proving to them how indispensable she was to the functioning of the inn. Also, she could eventually return to her barmaid position with even more leverage and power.
And the kicker is, Frida actually does exactly that. She eventually leaves Kay and goes right back to her old job behind the bar. So we're left wondering, was Kay just a gullible pawn in a local barmaid's career scheme this entire time? Was his grand, tragic, rebellious love affair just standard workplace politics disguised as romance?
In Kafka's universe, objective truth is permanently out of reach. We never know for sure if Peppy is telling the objective truth or if she's simply projecting her own bitter Machiavellian ambitions onto Frida.
We just can't know.
No, we can't. But the ambiguity itself serves Kafka's larger theme. The bureaucracy is a virus that infects even the most intimate human relationships. Love, trust, and connection are constantly degraded in this environment.
It's all transactional.
Exactly. People are reduced to using each other as leverage to survive a broken system. Kay certainly tried to use Frida to get an audience with Clam, and Pepe suggests Frida simply outplayed him by using Kay to secure her job. The institutional rot reaches all the way down to the beer puddles on the floor.
So what does this all mean? We followed Kay through the freezing snow, through the ridiculous departmental mix-ups, the tragic backstories of the villagers, the midnight loopholes, and he utterly fails.
Utterly.
He fails not because he wasn't smart enough, but because he tried to fight a phantom on its own terms. He wanted formal validation from a castle that fundamentally does not care if he exists. And I think that is the ultimate striking lesson for us as listeners.
It really is the core takeaway.
If we spend our finite lives obsessed with pleasing opaque authorities, if we constantly seek our validation from broken, impersonal systems, whether that is climbing a toxic corporate ladder, contorting ourselves for an algorithmic social media feed, or bowing to arbitrary social hierarchies, we miss out on actual, authentic human connection. We become exactly like the villagers, aggressively enforcing our own misery.
It is a profound realization about where we choose to invest our energy, and it leads me to this final thought for you to consider as we wrap up our analysis today.
Lay it on us.
The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer heavily influenced Kafka's worldview, and he once used a metaphor that perfectly captures Kay's journey. He said, "Human beings are often like a man who goes round and round a castle, seeking in vain